It is unbelievable. It's got over 500 gigs of power. It is the newest, fastest gaming system from our good friends at Sony Xbox. And all you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Monty Show. Monty, The Monty Show, is how you get entered to win this thing. No strings attached, just hit subscribe, and then you get on Twitter, and you take a picture of your screenshot, take a picture on your phone where it says subscribed, tweet at us, and then you have to tag The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, and SLC Supercars. That's Jake. Mm-hmm. And then you can be subscribed. And here lately, Jake, should we roll call some of the folks who have been nice enough to enter the contest?
There's a bunch of them.
Of course, Lopes Fan Gabe, yes, of course. Mike Phillips, yes, of course. Mike is a valued member of the YouTube program. Mm-hmm. Tricky T, of course. Muirbrook Wyatt. Wyatt Muirbrook, of course. Wyatt, good to see you. Forgotten Souls, every day. Hello. Crowberry, the Milty Six. Okay. Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. We got our guy, S. George 13. He's a digital marketer in sports. Go Cougs, Red Sox Nation. Red Sox very quietly are in first place in the East. So lots of people, and pretty soon what's going to appear on this table as we jettison our way to 500 is we are going to put a bowl on the table, and every day we're just going to add people's names to it. Mm-hmm. And then the day we get to 500 subscribers here on YouTube, we're going to pull a name out of that bowl, and we're going to give away this Xbox Series X. No strings attached. All you'll do is DM me your address. It'll go out the same day, hopefully a couple days later. If you don't have any porch pirates in the hood, you'll have an Xbox Series S in the crib. What? I keeps it real.
Porch pirate.
I'll stop. So that's all you have to do in essence. Dude, find us on YouTube, The Monty Show. Monty, The Monty Show. Super best, easiest way, themontyshow.com. Hit subscribe, take a picture, tweet at us, The Monty Show, and SLC Super Cares. Let's go to work. The Utah Jazz, not good. Not to say I told you so, but yes, I'm still good looking. I'm way smarter than you, and I told you the Utah Jazz are going to struggle with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I hope you didn't. I hope you did not bet the Jazz against the T-Wolves because you lost money. A dreadful performance, an absolutely dreadful performance out of the Utah Jazz. And again, here we are with this blueprint that we've talked about a lot on this show, where the Utah Jazz struggle with teams that have athletic guards that can get to the rim, and they have bigs that are capable from the three-point line. That is one of the worst-case scenarios for the Utah Jazz. We saw that in Philly with Joel Embiid. We saw that at Vivint Arena Friday night against the Timberwolves, and or Saturday night against the Timberwolves. And really, what we saw was Karl-Anthony Towns have a huge half, and then Edwards and company just attack the rim relentlessly. Now, to their credit, the Jazz came storming back. But Jake, how worried should Jazz fans be about this loss?
Well, so I think that there's definitely some concern in this loss. I look at how this game went, and this game went very differently than most Jazz games this year have gone. And what I mean is the Jazz put up 40 in the first quarter. Usually the Jazz are a slower starting team, so usually you'll see them put up 20 to 25 in the first quarter, and they'll be down 10 headed into the second. That's usually how their games go. But in this particular game, they get out to this nice lead. Everything's clicking. You're like, all right, great. Bogey's going to put up 30 tonight. Conley's going to give us 20. Everything's going to be kosher. But that didn't happen. For whatever reason, they have this awesome first quarter, and then they completely fall off. Now, before we leave the first quarter, I think one of the biggest things that I saw the Jazz starting to do that kind of addresses an issue that we talk about almost every day on this show, which is teams are trying to pull Rudy out to the three-point line. The Jazz started this game playing a matchup zone, basically saying, hey, Karl Anthony Towns, if you're going to play low, we're going to defend you with Rudy. If you're going to play high, we're going to put a myriad of guys on you. And that was working initially. But then they got away from that. And that's kind of when things went a bit sideways because Karl Anthony Towns started making shots. Then you've got Anthony Edwards, who is getting to the basket. And then you just are chaos the rest of the game. And I think that if you're a Jazz fan, you should be concerned because, yeah, on paper, you should have blown this team out. But this is the exact build of a team that gives the Jazz a ton of trouble. And so if I'm the Clippers, if I'm the Suns, if I'm even the Nuggets, I'm looking at this game right here, and I'm saying, okay, this is what we have to do to beat the Jazz. And if we do that, we're going to up our chances significantly. And that really is what I feel like if you're a Jazz fan, you should be concerned about.
Yeah, and the thing that really concerns me the most, and I know we talk about this a lot, the Jazz just simply lack athleticism. It's a huge problem, and I don't know how you fix it at this point because here we are in late April. You've got less than a month to go in the season. Obviously, you were without Donovan Mitchell, who brings an incredible amount of athleticism. But here's the thing. I don't know that Donovan Mitchell solves the issues in this game. I don't know that they win with him if he's on the floor. Would they have had a better chance? Sure, absolutely. But then Bogdanovich doesn't hit all those threes. Conversely, I wonder what's going on with Jordan Clarkson because I see a guy who comes in and it's great when the ball's going in the hole because all he does is shoot. But when Jordan Clarkson got the ball the other night, all he did is shoot and he missed repeatedly. And the ball doesn't move. Fourth quarter, there's no ball movement. There's no passing. It becomes hero ball with Clarkson. It's one-on-one. The last shot of the game, what do you see out of Bojan Bogdanovich? Bojan Bogdanovich. I don't want to. I know. We get it. Bojan Bogdanovich. What do you see? You see a guy trying to play hero ball, like trying to get bounce off the dribble. That's never been his game, and he almost fell down doing it. It's uncomfortable at times. That's where you miss Donovan Mitchell. But the defense, the ability to keep guys out of the paint, Donovan Mitchell ain't fixing that. And to me, that's what won the Timberwolves the game. Now, tonight, I would be shocked if the Jazz don't make adjustments. But here's a real barometer for you. If you're not athletic, what adjustment are you going to make against a young Timberwolves team that now believes they can beat you?
Yeah, I think the only the only thing that you can really do as a Jazz team to kind of mitigate the lack of athleticism is you have to give yourself more breathing room on defense, which is to say that you have to execute at a higher rate on offense. You cannot have a 40-point start to a game and then your shooting percentage goes from 58 to 43 to 36 to 28% in the fourth quarter. That can't happen for this team. And that's why I say the mindset of the organization is just jacked because what you're saying here is, hey, we're not athletic on defense, right? Like, yes, Don is athletic, but we don't really have the young, spry, willing defender that can really lock anybody down the way, let's just say, Anthony Edwards can. Because he did that, by the way. He did that many times in that game on Saturday night. So if you're the Jazz, what you're literally doing here is you're saying, hey, we're not athletic defensively, so what we're going to do to mitigate that is we're going to just shoot a ton of threes, and we're going to try and outscore our opponents. Except for the fact that, just like you were saying, when Clarkson's not going, when Donovan's not going, when maybe Mike Conley's not going, there's always somebody who's not going on any given night. That's how the NBA works. There's always somebody. And so for most of the season, it had been Bogdanovich. Now he's recovered. So my question is just simply going to be, and we talk about this all the time, what are the Jazz going to do when the three ball is taken away from them? Because if they don't have the three ball, they're not athletic enough to get to the basket, and in turn, they're also not athletic enough to play elite defense. So what does that look like? That I guess, really is like the core issue.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that really, when you talk about core issues, this Jazz team is so much better when they're attacking the basket. And when they get into the paint to create threes, they're a much better offensive team. That's what I want to see. And that tonight is what I think is really critical, is that you see the Jazz in the paint a lot more. Sean says, morning, guys. Lots of new subs this weekend. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate that. James says, morning, guys from down under. Throw a shim. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Stop.
I was going to do a thing, but I'm not. I am starting to buy into your lack of confidence of the Utah Jazz, sadly.
Uh-oh. We have another convert.
I mean, I can only say so many times that when we come down to Melbourne, James, you're buying 4X gold.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
Bro,
all
4X gold and some fish and chips. We're good.
shrimp on the bobby.
That's it. That's
I'll
it.
Stop.
That's it.
I'm a jerk. I had to. If the Jazz win the championship, I will buy you a case of 4X gold, James, because I'm telling you, it ain't going to happen. Man, shut up. Anyway, the point is, I'm kidding. Miguel Boy says poor performance by the whole team. I thought Bojan Bogdanovic actually played well.
Yeah, hell of a night. He put up 30, man. I mean, he didn't play poorly. You know what he did though? The criticism I would have for Bogdanovic is letting Ricky Rubio get by you in the corner multiple times. Like, Ricky Rubio is far from somebody who's got a great first step, and that just kind of exemplifies where Bogey's at on defense.
Guy, Bojan Bogdanovic could not stop you. I'm being serious. I don't think Bojan Bogdanovic could stop you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a slow white guy, as is Ricky Rubio, which is why he's not a Jazz man anymore, or a Sun, or a Timberwolf, but now is a Timberwolf again. The point is, he's just Bojan Bogdanovic can do one thing well.
We're only here for one reason:
to watch Bogey shoot threes. And he did that well the other night.
In the red Adidas.
7 of 13 is 30 points. Most nights, if Bogey goes 7 of 13 and drops 30, drops a 30-piece nugget, as the cool kids say.
So dumb.
They're going to win the game.
Yeah.
But the problem is you look up and down the rest of the roster, and you have Jordan Clarkson going 5 of 16 from the floor and 3 of 10 from three.
Oh.
And giving you 15 points, they lose. I look at Rudy Gobert, one of the biggest and most shocking performances, 9 points, 17 rebounds, and he goes 3 of 6 from the floor. And he should have done more.
Yeah.
But again, against mobile bigs like Karl Anthony Towns, he really struggles.
Well, and I think the other ththing with the rebounding totals, like I think of that 17 rebounds a game number right there, and initially I'm like, hey, that's a nice number. Like, you're pushing 20 boards in an NBA game right there as a 7-footer. That's really right where you should be. But then, I think about the end of the game, and I think about, the way the Timberwolves were really attacking the glass at the end of the game to limit the possessions for the Jazz. And again, I know I keep referencing Anthony Edwards, but guys like him in this league are giving the Jazz fits. And late in that game, he prioritized rebounding. He took 2 of them away from Rudy. Rudy really should have had 19 boards in this game because he lost out on 2 of them at the end of the game. And so I guess overall, yes, this was a bad loss. There's no doubt about it. But part of me is like, hey, this is an embarrassing loss. But then part of me is like, we shouldn't be surprised. As a Jazz fan, you shouldn't be surprised because the T-Wolves are the team that has, the kryptonite to beat the Jazz. And that's what I think people don't want to come around on. They want to say, oh, hey, the T-Wolves are a bad team on paper. Their record really doesn't say that they've really done anything, even though they have some quality pieces. We should blow these guys out. Yes, on paper you should, but then you look at the matchups, you look at the fact that Don's not playing, and all of a sudden you're in trouble. So I guess the point just really is if you're a Jazz fan, you shouldn't be worrying about what the outlook is for the postseason. You should be worrying about if this front office is ever going to come around to the idea that they need to add some serious pieces to this roster to solidify, themselves as an NBA Finals contender for like the next 5 or 6 years while Donovan Mitchell's in his prime.
Well, I mean, how long is Don in his prime, though? I mean, if you think about it, as we talk Utah Jazz and NBA here on the Monty Show, I mean, if you look at what prime is, I mean, Donovan Mitchell's not old, obviously. He's on the right side of 30, but I look at how you get to your prime. This is a Devin Booker conversation we've had 1,000 times on this show. Does Devin Booker ever make it to his prime?
I mean, Don's only 24, man. I mean, He's got a long time to go here.
But my point is, with this team, does Donovan Mitchell ever get to his peak? Does he ever get to the best Don possible?
Yeah, I don't know. I think some of that is, I mean, what you're saying is, does the roster allow him to get to where he needs to go? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. My inclination is to say that Probably not, but at the same time, all they need to do is add one or two pieces, and all of a sudden that conversation changes. But it seems like they're incredibly hesitant to do that. So I don't know, man. Yeah. I think if you're a Jazz fan, you should be concerned about the fact that Don may not be a lifer with the Jazz. That should be concerning to you, because if he goes to another team, he's definitely going to win, and he should win here. That's the thing. Donovan Mitchell and this team should win a championship, but they are short right now, and they got to figure out how to get by that.
Well, and the frustrating thing for me is that it's a philosophical problem. It's not that you don't have the money, your owner's a billionaire. It's not that you don't have the talent, because you do. It's just a philosophical lack of aggression. It's not going to get Bradley Beal. It's not going to get Aaron Gordon. It's not going to get, again, Mike James. Mike James in Brooklyn is the guy I point to. This is arguably the best team in the NBA. They're now the number one team in the East because somehow, and we're going to talk about the Suns in a minute, I don't get it, but somehow they beat the Suns comfortably. Mike James is one of the best players in Europe, and the Brooklyn Nets go and sign him. Could the Utah Jazz right now use an athletic, three-point shooting defensive machine at guard? Yeah, I think they can.
Yeah, and so pulling up Donovan's contract situation here, he signed through his age 29 season. So
Yes.
he'll play for the Jazz for four or five more
years.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 more years, depending on how you look at it. So they're going to get him for definitely his good years.
But let's be clear. He's under contract for, I think, 4 more years.
Yeah, he's under contract through 25, 26.
Players in this league,
Yeah.
players in this league control their future and their destiny.
Yeah.
They always have, they always will. If he wants out, he can ask out.
Yeah.
That's not who Donovan's ever showed himself to be. But I'm telling you, if there is not a philosophical change in this organization, Donovan Mitchell will not finish this contract here. And I know that seems ridiculous, and this situation this year right now is not about this situation right here, right now. Mm-hmm. It's about the future. You're in a situation where you're not good enough to win a championship. I've been saying that for 4 months, and I know that probably pisses some people off, and I'm sorry. But the Utah Jazz are not talented enough to win a championship. They may have the best record in the West. They're not as good as the Clippers. I think that Denver, now without Jamal Murray, is equal. I think the Jazz and the Nuggets right now today, you look at the way Michael Porter Jr. is playing basketball, he is absolutely a differdifference maker in a series against the Utah Jazz. Because if you're telling me that you're going to put Royce ONeil on Michael Porter Jr., who does Bojan Bogdanovic guard?
Yeah, I don't know.
Somebody
else.
And then what does Aaron Gordon do to Bogdanovic?
Yeah.
Like, the matchup is not good against Denver. I think they're even, okay? But I'm telling you, the LA Clippers are the singular biggest threat to the Utah Jazz because there is no other threat. The Phoenix Suns are falling apart. Devin Booker and that team look tired. They're going to New York to play the Knicks tonight to die. And I'm telling you, the Clippers are, but you're going to blink, and the Clippers are going to be a game out of first place. Mm-hmm. And then every game matters for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, and you make a great point, and I think it's funny. We've been talking about, this Suns Jazz dynamic and the 1-2 seed, but the Clippers are a team I feel like who are actually capable of running the Jazz down, not taking over, not winning the 1 seed, but getting really close and essentially just breathing down the neck of the Jazz in these final 3 weeks of the regular season. And I think that, if let's say that the Jazz were to lose tonight, not that I think they will. I think they will win tonight. I would be really surprised if they didn't, frankly, but we'll see. Let's say they did lose tonight and the Clippers win. All of a sudden, every time that happens, they're just closing the gap. They're closing the gap. They're chopping it down. Things are getting closer and closer and closer. And the other thing that's at work here that I think is really important that goes on behind the scenes is that as a 1 seed headed to the postseason, you've clinched your playoff. You're the first team in the league to do it. Everything's hunky-dory. But at the same time, every time you lose one of these games that you feel like you should win, that's just eating away at your confidence a little bit. You're like, hey, we should have won this game. We should have won this game. By the way, did you see PG put up 40 the other night? That night that we lost? They're coming for us, So definitely.
You mean Paul George, the Indiana Pacer?
Yeah.
Playing for the LA Clippers?
Yeah, I don't know. They just did a jersey swap or something.
I mean, it's amazing how good he is.
Yeah.
And I think your point on bringing his name up is not accidental.
Yeah.
Because he's playing elite basketball. I'm trying not to be too negative.
Yeah, well, look, I think there's a lot to be positive about, but I think that again, we're not the show that's gonna like sugarcoat things and like.
That's right.
But we're also, I want to make it clear, we're not also trying to be always negative on the Jazz. Like, yes, you just clinched the playoffs. I would say the odds are with you that you'll be the one seed. Like I said, I don't know that the Clippers have enough time to run you down, but I definitely think they're going to put pressure on. Yeah, but like still, I 2 games is a big pad for teams this good, because if you think about it, like I don't know what they're saying. I didn't see an update on Don yet, but when he comes back,
another week.
So it's another week. So that's a 3 to 5 game window right there. 3 or 4, 5 game window where the Clippers can run the Jazz down. And all I'm saying is that 2 games may seem like a small number, but it's really a big number when you consider how good these teams are.
At Minnesota, here's the Jazz schedule. At Minnesota, I have no idea how that's going to go. At Sacramento, at Phoenix. Those 3 games. By the way, then you come back home to play Toronto, who's playing incredible basketball right now. Back-to-back with San Antonio. Then the Denver game. Houston at Golden State. Steph Curry breaks a record last night for most threes in a month. Portland at OKC at Sacramento. There's 4 losses in there.
Yeah.
4. And I think the thing that really should concern you is if you look at the LA Clippers schedule, and again, YouTube and Twitter and podcasts, do tell me if I'm wrong here. The LA Clippers at New Orleans, at Phoenix, Denver, Toronto, Lakers, Knicks, at Toronto, at Charlotte, at Houston, at Oklahoma City. A far more difficult schedule than the Jazz have.
Far more difficult.
Far more difficult. If the Jazz lose control of the Western Conference, it will be their own doing. And that's the thing that scares me most. Like, I look at the Phoenix Suns, and yes, it is shocking, it is surprising, whatever you want to say. They've collapsed. They've fallen apart on this road trip. Inexcusable to beat Philly and then go lose to a bad Boston team and an inconsistent, although shocking Nets team. I had no idea Kevin Durant was going to play. And then all of a sudden, KD shows up. Slim Reaper, KD Trey.
Hey.
I was shocked. You know what? We didn't know Kevin Durant was going to play. We flipped on that game. I'm like, dude, did you know Kevin Durant was going to play? And I look over at Jake.
Oh, shit. Damn, I am tripping.
And Jake's like, no, I had no idea. So I look back at the TV, and Kevin Durant hits this sweet fade in the lane. I look over at Jake, and he's got baby oil, and he's naked in the recliner.
I want to thank me for having no days off.
No days off, baby.
And I'm like,
every day with KD, baby. He's a walking bucket, dude. Walking bucket, man. Roll out of bed, give me 35 points. It's over. It's over.
That was a sexual. Anyway.
Look, I've embraced the slurping lifestyle. I don't know what you want from me, bro. I don't know what you want from me, man. Like,
here we go.
Like I'm just telling you guys, he's the best scorer in the league. He rolls out of bed and gives you 25, and on a good night, he's going to give you 35. It's that easy.
Ian says, classic Jake. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. James says, worst game of the season for my man Jingles. I think he needs some rest on that 33-year-old body.
Hey.
Well, shooters are going to have bad games. Gabe Ledley, good morning to you. Lopes fan Gabe. Lopes up. Morning, fellas. Let's hit 500 this week. Let's do it.
Dude.
Please.
Let's go.
Here it is, right here.
What are we at? What are we at? Do we know what we're at? What are we at? 430?
420, bro.
No, we're close to 430 right now, I think. I think we're close.
431.
Oh, there you go.
69.
See? Hey, let's go.
69 followers to go. Subscribers. God, son of a biscuit. 69 subscribers left to 500. We give this bad boy right here away at 500. We will give away this Xbox S series. All you have to do is subscribe. And then when you subscribe, take a picture of it. Put it on Twitter and tag The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, and SLC Supercars. The only way to get into the drawing is to subscribe and then tag us on social, on Twitter, with a picture of your subscription. You have to tag us. If you don't tag us on Twitter, we're not going to put you into the bowl that's not sitting on the table yet. So I'm telling you, good job, Jake. I'm telling you, you've got to subscribe to our YouTube channel and then take a picture of it and put it on Twitter. Mina Gray says, good evening from the Philippines. Yo, what's up in the Philippines?
Good evening.
Jazz underestimated the Timberwolves very clearly.
You really think they played down in the Timberwolves?
Yes.
You think that happened?
You know what I think happened? I think they came out, had one of the best quarters of the year that the Jazz have had, and they were like, oh, game's over. Game's over. Yeah. Hey, Oni, you're in. Like, it felt like that's what happened.
Yeah.
and they never were able to put their foot back on the gas. Even though at one point they took the lead, they couldn't keep the T-Wolves out of they couldn't keep the T-Wolves out of the paint.
And there were multiple turnovers in the fourth quarter that just killed them.
Yep. Sean said the game showed exactly what you guys were saying on Friday. They need another piece.
Appreciate it, Sean. We're not trying to play the "I told you so" card, but it's so funny how when you watch Jazz games, because everybody knows we don't actually watch Jazz games.
We don't watch.
But when you watch Jazz games, you find yourself seeing these trends within the game. And we've talked a lot about how this team, whether you want to talk athleticism, whether you want to talk scoring in the half court in a more postseason vibe when you're not playing a lot of transition basketball, there's so many reasons that they should have gone and got an Aaron Gordon or a Mike James or any of these guys that can score on their own, and they didn't do it. And it's amazing to me, and they will pay the price at some point.
Tyler says, where's your guy Barry with his Knicks takes? Suns and Knicks tonight. Barry blocked me on Twitter, and he has not commented in a couple of weeks. I don't even remember what we had an argument about.
No, you didn't have an argument about anything. It just happened.
No, it was one of the non-sports takes.
Who knows?
He's
man.
a big stick to sports guy, Barry is. Let's see. Swiderski, good morning to you. He says maybe the new owners, they will buy some middle stars. Jazz need luck on these threes. Well, you better be good instead of lucky, because if the three's not going in, you're in trouble.
Dude, I legit don't know what they're going to do in the postseason against a team like the Clippers or any of these athletic teams who are going to push them out to the three-point line, and they're going to take that away. They're going to play tight, man defense on the three-point line, and they're going to force them to drive.
Tao Enga says, what's up, y'all? Shout out from Provo, LOL. Shout
Let's
out,
go.
Provo! Swiderski also says, why so many turnovers every game, Jazz? Well, because when Don's not in the game, and this is the question about Mike Conley as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people, come at me, bro, about my thought that Mike Conley's not a legit number two. And it's because when Don's not in the game, I don't know that you can just hand the ball to Mike Conley and say, hey, get after it. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can. And I don't know that you can trust Mike Conley to stay healthy in those situations.
And I don't even think that to be quite honest with you, Saturday night, I didn't see, frankly, a lot of hand it to Mike Conley and let him bring it up. I saw a lot of, hey, Joe Ingles is running point, and we're going to bring Mike Conley off the pick to try to get him some three-ball looks. That's what I saw.
There was a lot of that, yeah, for sure.
I saw a lot of that, and I really feel like, again, not to beat a dead horse on the roster thing, but Joe Ingles, that's not his purpose in life as a basketball player. He is not a ball handler kind of guy. That's not what he should be doing.
No, he's a wing three shooter.
Yeah, and he's a wing three shooter, and he's a guy that can play some decent defense and kind of get in your head. I mean, talking about Paul George, when they played OKC, he was all in Paul George's head. So,
well, Joe's a great talker, too.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people realize that Joe Ingles talks an amazing amount of garbage. But I think he is a spot-up three-point shooter, corner wing guy.
Yeah.
And when you ask Joe Ingles to bring the ball up, much to, I can't remember who said it now, I want to say it was James.
The guy talking about Joe being tired.
Yeah, I think when you ask somebody to become a point guard, when they're a spot-up three-ball and D guy, I think you're going to see their performance is going to go down. There's no doubt about that. Miguel Tevez says Ingles is a catch-and-shoot kind of guy. He is.
Yeah.
Mikkel Schweitek
Bro.
Says, were you guys at Super Chicks over the weekend? I think I saw you there. Okay, can I just ask a question? We've got to stop this.
Boy.
I think I saw you there thing. I cannot tell you how many people are like, oh, are you the guy driving the red Audi? No. I'm not. Oh, I think I saw you at the strip club. Okay, did you walk up to the guy and say, hey, are you Monty?
Hey, look here, man.
We talked about Super Chicks last week.
Oh.
American Fork, Super Chicks, they don't advertise on the show. They're not a sponsor. Brand new chicken restaurant. That your friend and mine, Lance, opened.
Yeah.
Really good fried chicken joint. It is akin to the Shake Shack.
Shake Shack. It's very close to Shake Shack.
Shake Shack, we had it over the weekend. I'm fat.
Bomb, dude.
But we went there. Mrs. Monty and I went there once. No, I was not there over the weekend. But if you think you see me, just walk up to me and say, hey, Monty, I'm Jimmy from Poughkeepsie. I watch you on YouTube, and I'll be like, hey, bro, fist pound. No handshakes. It's COVID. Sorry, bud. Like, it's okay to say, hey, Monty. Like, somebody at the gym, wasn't it at the gym the other day? Somebody's like, I think I saw you at the gym. Or if we're working out, it's not like we're cracking the code to nuclear science. I mean, come see if you can throw a couple reps in, man.
Yeah.
Actually, don't.
Do you even lift?
I hate guys that try to. I hate guys.
Hey,
that try
bro,
to
can I work in with you? Can I work in with you?
Oh, that's very nice of you, Trey. He says, "What are you doing? It looks like you're a little slimmer." I'm not. I'm fat. I actually am. It was nice. I put on some clothes I hadn't worn in a while the other day. To fit better.
Hey.
Fit better.
What do you bench?
Well, I think I can legit put up probably 5 to 7 reps at 225.
Yeah, I think so.
But I don't need to lift heavy weight. I don't lift that kind of heavy weight.
Yeah.
Get a slurping pick, says Miguel Boy. Okay.
Yeah, hey.
I mean, hey, if you want to be, a picture it didn't happen. I don't mind people walking up to us. I don't. I really don't. Subscribe on YouTube first, though. The Monty Show. Monty, The Monty Show. Yes.
Did you put your license plate on your car yet?
Yes, but...
Because the only reason I ask you that is because that's how people can identify if it's you or not.
Okay, so I drive an Audi SQ5. Nice car. God, is it rocket science to put a license plate on an Audi? Apparently it is. I have a really nice license plate frame. It's like weatherproof, like rattle-proof. It's got a silicone liner in it. Like, it's great. The Audi, though, doesn't allow you to use pointed screws, like screws that have...
You need a flat face, not a pointed face.
And the flat ones that I have are too short. Because the Audi license plate holder thing has these screws that lock in place, and they're short screws. So I actually had to order longer, flat license plate screws.
Such a German car thing.
Yes, it is. But my license plate is flu game, with all due respect to Utah Jazz fans. Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
What is wrong with the Phoenix Suns? I mean, to my eyes, they look tired. Like, I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
They're at the end of a long road trip that is, it's Philly, Boston, Brooklyn, Knicks. And the Knicks, my God, the Knicks are 13 straight? 9? Yeah. They're playing incredible basketball right now.
Yep.
But what's wrong with the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're just tired. I also think that they are that team that is the young gun team that really sort of like runs and doesn't run off the energy that they're feeling on any given night. So they come into, the Brooklyn game and they're really exhausted. They're tired and they haven't played enough basketball together. They haven't accomplished enough as a team to come together as a team and say, okay, we really have to focus tonight. We really have to bring it. We really got to be locked in. We can't just show up and do what we've always done. And I think that for a lot of teams, in the league, they just show up every night and they do the same things that they've always done, regardless of the fact that you've got, the best scorer in the league on the other side, or you've got this guy or that guy, or these different threats. And so I think the Suns are tired. I think Devin Booker is in this odd spot right now in the season where he's still the best scorer on your team, but it doesn't feel like he's got a lot of gas left in the tank right now. It just feels like he's kind of just out there doing the best he can. So I just simply think that they've run out of gas, both mentally, physically. I think they've lost some motivation because now they're not going to be able to catch the Jazz. So I think it's just this culmination of getting tired and the results of that are really pushing them down.
By the way.
Yeah.
And again,
yeah.
I know that this is another one of those things that I've said a lot on this show, and Suns fans, I apologize. I do believe. Do you know when the wake for DeAndre Ayton is?
I don't know. They said that there was going to be a presser about it, but
and I believe there's a warrant out for murder for Kyrie Irving for what he did on the Hezi.
Oh my God, dude!
He owned DeAndre Ayton on a Hezi, like an offhand and to the basket.
Yep.
Kyrie is nasty.
Yeah.
And when he plays, I mean, they're a way better team.
Right.
And so part of this is, and I want to make this clear, part of what's wrong with the Suns is they're playing some good teams. By the way, who at the league office hates the Phoenix Suns? Oh, wait, everybody. Everybody hates the Suns at the league office. We know that. Here's their stretch of games: at Milwaukee, at Philly, at Boston, at Brooklyn, at the Knicks. Okay, well, the road trip's over. Whew. Home for the Clippers, home for the Jazz, at Oklahoma City, at Cleveland, at Atlanta. Whew, that road trip's over. Home for the Knicks, at a likely healthy Lakers, at Golden State, home for Portland, back-to-back at San Antonio to end it.
Oof.
Like, who hates the Suns?
Oof.
Everybody hates the Suns at the league office.
Man, dude, man.
Good night. I don't know. That's why I said the Clippers are no longer the biggest threat to the Utah Jazz in the West. I mean, it is, or the Suns are no longer. It is the LA Clippers.
Yeah.
I mean, who loves the Utah Jazz at the league office? Everybody.
Well, here's the fact,
because they got to pass on the schedule.
They definitely got to pass at the end of the season on the schedule, but they've had to play their fair share of teams. And I think the one thing that you have to keep in mind here is the Jazz should get credit for what they've been able to accomplish up until this point. I mean, again, I want to make it clear they're not the first team in the league to clinch a postseason spot by accident. They've played really well, and I think that they deserve a lot of credit for that. But at the same time, I think, the point I'm trying to make here is that the problems the Jazz have, are essentially dwarfing the problems the Suns have. So the Jazz issues are not, hey, are we going to get to the postseason? Hey, are we going to do this and that in the first round? Mm-hmm. That's what the Suns' problems are. The Suns are like, we just got to make sure we get to the postseason and we win a playoff series. That's what they're talking about. The Jazz have higher aspirations and higher expectations, frankly, as they should. And so when we talk about the Jazz, it comes from a place of this team should be in a 6 or 7 game series in the NBA Finals this year.
Yes.
And that is why we talk about all these minutia issues for the team within the game that we see, because they matter.
Yeah, Will is going to go back to an oldie but a goodie. You guys on Twitter, Will says, you guys keep talking about how the Jazz need to add. Nobody's coming to Salt Lake City.
Oh, here we go. Old reliable.
Old reliable. Oh, it's the Mormons. Ah! The Jazz have the ability to make trades. Aaron Gordon was available in a trade. Mike James would have taken the first dollar given to him to get back in the NBA.
Yep.
And if you think the Jazz aren't attractive to a free agent like Mike James, who's trying to prove he can play in this league, the Jazz are supposedly the best team in the West. So you can't have it both ways. Are they the best team in the West and potentially the NBA? Sure they are. Okay, great. A guy like Mike James would have signed with the Jazz. There's no doubt about that. The Jazz are not aggressive. They were not aggressive in the trade market. And I'm telling you now, if this team wants to win a championship, because they're not going to win a championship this year, I'm telling you that they need to go and they need to aggressively remake this roster. Mm-hmm. And it means saying goodbye to some old friends. Mm-hmm. It means saying goodbye to guys like Bojan Bogdanovic and Royce ONeil. It probably means within the next 2 seasons saying goodbye to Rudy Gobert's massively inflated contract. That's what this means. And I know you probably don't like that, and I know you might not even agree with that.
Yeah.
But if you want to win and you truly want to compete for an NBA championship year after year after year, this roster ain't doing it. Donovan Mitchell is one guy. And how many times on this show do we have to say it's Don and everybody else? That's the issue. You have a real need to add at least one more premier scorer. That's how you compete. I look at the Lakers, and I look at what Anthony Davis talked about, how they don't have chemistry right now. Lakers and LeBron, when LeBron comes back next week, and you get Anthony Davis, who, by the way, the game the other day looked healthy.
Yeah, he looked fine.
He looked like this calf Achilles thing. They bumped his minutes all the way up to 25 minutes. All right, great. They did not play well. And it's because they don't have chemistry right now. And they're missing LeBron. You add LeBron back to this mix, and this is what I say about Brooklyn all the time as well. I look at the way Brooklyn played against Phoenix.
Yep.
Brooklyn doesn't have chemistry. They don't have James Harden. But when you have Kyrie and KD, I mean, literally breaking guys off where they almost fall over, That tends to overcome a lack of chemistry.
Well, and look at it this way, too. Think of these teams. So the Nets and the Lakers are a great example of this, and I think we're seeing this with the Jazz right now, even in this game Saturday night. So let's start with the Lakers. When you take AD and LeBron off the floor, from an offensive and defensive perspective, those two guys are your anchors. Those two guys lead what you're doing. So when those two guys are on the floor, guys like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and guys like Dennis Schroeder and all these other guys that they have on the roster, they work off of what LeBron and Anthony Davis are doing. So when LeBron and Anthony Davis aren't on the floor, they have to completely change their mindset. Everybody moves up the rung of responsibility, if you will. And so when those guys come back, yes, it is building chemistry, but what you're going to see is that chemistry for the Lakers is going to come back very quickly because once those guys are back on the floor, everybody goes back to their original role, and it's just like riding a bike. The difference is for the Brooklyn Nets, those guys have never played together, ever. Like 7-8 games. They didn't have a deep playoff run in the bubble. They didn't have all this time together. So when I look at the Jazz and I say, hey, Donovan Mitchell is out, what does that look like for the rest of the team? Well, the problem is when Don's in at the end of games, it becomes Don and everybody else. So the reason they had 5 or 6 turnovers at the end of the game is because there's no leadership on the floor. Mike Conley lacks in leadership. Joe Ingles is not a point guard. You're using these guys in ways that they shouldn't be used, so you're not getting an ideal result. And that really is the issue.
Yeah, I agree with that. And a lot of people, are talking about money with players. Like Mike says that Royce ONeil only makes $8 million. How are you going to get Aaron Gordon? Well, no, I would have easily traded Bojan Bogdanovic to get Aaron Gordon. Mm-hmm. You realize you owe, I want to say you owe Bojan Bogdanovic $38 million over the next 2 years?
It's a big deal.
$38 million. You're paying this guy $19 million a year for this? No, sorry. And everybody said if he'd have been healthy, they'd have won a championship. They wouldn't have because Bojan Bogdanovic is showing you who he is in tough moments, and it's not good. And so if you're asking who I would give up, Illert Gnick says, who would you give up to get Aaron Gordon? I would give up Royce. I would give up Bojan. I would give up D. Favors. There are multiple guys on this roster I would give up to get Aaron Gordon. Now, am I going to give up Joe Ingles? No, of course not. Am I giving up Rudy? Am I giving up Don? No, I'm probably not. But to get a second or third option in a guy like Aaron Gordon who can jump out of the gym, attacks the basket, and by the way, he's shooting the three at a very high level right now. Yes, I am happy to give up Bojan Bogdanovic to do that. Their salaries are almost even. And the thing is, you lose a year of commitment because Aaron Gordon's only got this year and next year. Bojan's got this year and 2 more years that he's owed. So the contract situation is not good with the Jazz. If you look at their salary cap, like if you look up and down the roster, you have got to upgrade Mike Conley. His $34 million comes off the books after this season. Don't be emotional. Don't be the guy that's like, oh, but Mike Conley, he looks so good in the Jazz colors. No, he doesn't. Not for $34 million. And if Mike Conley wants to be your first guard off the bench, okay, I'm good with that. For $10 million. I'm not paying Mike Conley $34 million.
No.
I'm not doing it. And you look at the other guys, I mean, Bojan's got this +2. Clarkson's got this +3. Joe Ingles has $14 million next year. I think that's fine. But I look at Derek Favors, 9, 9, and 10. He's got this and then $20 million left after that. I'm not real thrilled with that.
I think a pertinent question in this conversation that I feel like Jazz fans would ask a lot is like, okay, well, if this roster is so lacking, how did we get to be allegedly the best team in the league? And so that's why I think this all goes back to what you were saying earlier, which is this is a philosophical thing.
Yes.
You don't build a team that's good enough to be the best team in the regular season only to get bounced in the second round of the postseason.
And I hate the structure of their contracts.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the Denver Nuggets, they've got 2 guys under contract past next season. That would be Jokic and Aaron Murray. Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray. That's it.
By the way, those are their 2 building blocks.
Like, they're in a much better place. My frustration with the Jazz is that everybody wants to talk about how, they're going to win a championship this year. They're not. And a lot of it is the front office has let this team down. And I'm not doing it. I'm not going back to it. Sakshay Jazz says Boyan is already too old to perform at a high level. Next 2 years, no chance. Miguel Boy says Royce is hard one to give up. Why though? And this is what I ask you.
This is a good conversation right here.
Why is Royce ONeil difficult for you to give up? He doesn't contribute much offensively. He is a good defensive player. He is not elite. He is good. Mm-hmm. This team is very good defensively because they play together as a unit. When they play together as a unit.
Yeah.
But against athletic teams, they get out-rebounded. Against athletic teams, you're looking at second-chance opportunities that just continue to go by the boards for the Jazz because they're losing tip battles. I just don't. Why is Royce hard to give up?
Yeah, so that would be my question to the people on YouTube and everything. Like, what is it? What do you guys see in Royce ONeil? Because I agree with you. Like, in Royce ONeil, I see he's definitely not a two-way player. He is a defensive-minded player who can knock down a three from time to time. Saturday night did we see him take more threes than usual? Yeah, of course, because there were more opportunity for him. But he is not like the best two-way players in the league for a long time have been like, a Jimmy Butler, let's say. He's not what Jimmy Butler is. Jimmy Butler is an elite offensive player and an elite defensive player.
Who is on par with Royce ONeil? If you look around, look at the Suns roster. Mm-hmm. I would put Mikal Bridges on par with Royce ONeil. But I think Mikal gives you more offensively.
He does. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He does.
Right?
Yeah.
So if I look at the Clippers, I mean, their wings are...
Pat Bev. That's who he is on the Clippers. He's Pat Bev,
yeah.
Except he doesn't have as bad attitude as Pat Bev has.
And I think he's a really good defensive player.
Yeah.
Who's occasionally going to give you a couple, 2, 3 threes in a game.
And I think the thing is the reason I'd be so willing to give him up in an Aaron Gordon conversation or deal is because Aaron Gordon is going to match that and give you more offensively. You don't trade players just to get an equal player back, right? So you wouldn't trade Royce ONeil just to get another version of Royce ONeil who has a different name. You wouldn't do that.
No.
So when we say, hey, we would easily move Royce for Aaron Gordon, it's for a reason. Go watch Aaron Gordon game tape on YouTube. Go find it. Watch his game.
If you look at the Jazz and compare them to the Lakers, the difference with the Lakers, who are in my opinion also not a championship contender this year unless LeBron miraculously comes back and they all find it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just don't, in my opinion, I look at the depth that the Lakers have built through losing AD and LeBron. This team is set up for next year. So I ask you, what are the Jazz set up for next year? They're set up to be the same team. They're not growing. Their guys are not young. Right? I mean, Donovan Mitchell is going to get better probably for the next 3 years until he is the player that he is. But if you look at Rudy, what's Rudy Gobert's upside? I think we're seeing it right now. He does not have, in my opinion, the skill set to add a jump shot.
Yeah, I don't know what the growth is really. I mean, because as a 7-footer, you're not going to add too much more quickness than he already has. I mean, he moves pretty well for his size.
He's already durable.
Yeah, he's durable already.
Shot blocker.
The only areas just in watching him that I would complain about are the quality of the picks that he sets. A lot of times he's pretty lazy with them, and it allows the defender to trail whoever he's setting that pick for. So that would be a small minutia detail in his game, but the jumper is really it. And if you're not going to develop a jumper,
he could be a better passer.
He could be a better passer. He could be a better passer.
For a guy that plays that much pick and roll, Rudy Gobert could be a better passer.
And maybe before we graduate to jump shots, maybe let's just start with your back to the basket game, like backing somebody down and finishing at the rim, because he struggles with that too.
Yep. Good question on a Sakshay Jazz, and we've talked about this a lot. He says, Monty, what do you think of Snyder's coaching and his timeout management? Well, I think I don't love the way he calls timeouts. I'm a big believer, and granted, I covered Phil Jackson in both Chicago and L.A.
Yeah.
Phil Jackson's timeout philosophy is, I'm not going to call a timeout because I want you guys to play through this. And it creates growth, and it creates leadership. Kobe talked a lot about the fact that not calling those timeouts made him a better player.
Uh-huh.
Quinn Snyder, I think Quinn's a really good coach. He's arguably the NBA Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
But what I will say again when I said Friday, if they don't win the Western Conference, if they don't go to the NBA Finals, I think you have to ask some real hard questions about Quinn Snyder.
What do we keep saying here? Think about this. What do we keep saying here? Whether we're talking about Quinn, the roster, the front office, the whole thing. We keep saying that they're really good, but they are not elite in any facet of basketball. Front office, mentality, the head coaching position, the players that they have on the floor, they're really good. They're not elite. They don't have anybody on this roster who is the best at their position in the entire league. They don't have that. The Clippers have it. The Lakers have it. The Brooklyn Nets have it. The Denver Nuggets have it. The Jazz don't have it. Maybe that is what you guys need to be opened up to.
Well, and I'll go back to the old Shaq comments. I think it was Shaq who used to say, "I'm the steak, you're the ketchup." Right? Like, Royce ONeil is the ketchup. Royce ONeil is like I'm the wing, man. You're the ranch dressing. Right? I'm good. You just finish it off. Right? That's what Royce ONeil is. That's what Bojan Bogdanovic is.
Yeah.
That's what Oni is. That's what Clarkson is. The stake on this team is right now Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
You can replace every other piece on this team. Like the Jazz huddle says, Shaq Shea Jazz, Royce is a great defender, man. Wouldn't be where we are without him.
Well, that might be true, but here's the thing.
Defensively, that might be true, sure.
Here's the thing, though. Where exactly are you? What exactly has this team actually done? Think about that. Because they haven't yet won the West, right? That's still down the line.
Correct.
You haven't yet made an NBA Finals appearance with the Donovan Mitchell era Utah Jazz. So what is it that you've done? Where exactly have you gone? And this is, I think this is a very emotional conversation, and one that is painful for Jazz fans because, yes, we can live by two mentalities here, okay? So we can say, hey, we've had an amazing season. We're the best team in the league. Everything's awesome. And we can go in on a high horse into the postseason, get our hopes up, then get disappointed.
Yep.
Or we can be more realistic, and we can say, hey, this season right now, you guys have earned that number one seed, but there are a lot of factors at play that are putting you in that position. And I think we just have to be careful how high of hopes we get going into the postseason.
Yeah, Will says, I hate that Quinn Snyder calls those quick timeouts. You can see he's pissed. Just let him play. Well, and it's not even, I don't mind that coaches call timeouts. But here's the question. Are you going to get a better look out of the timeout than you are off of the flow of the game? And that's the thing that I see a lot with the Jazz. They just don't come out of timeouts and execute. So why call the timeout? Stopping momentum? I'd rather have Donovan Mitchell dribble the ball up and attack the basket. He's going to get fouled. He gets a whistle almost every time he does it.
Yeah.
Give Don the ball and let him go try to dunk on somebody. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt. Let him go try to dunk on somebody and get to the free throw line. Let that stop the momentum. If you're not going to design me a play out of a timeout that's going to get me something better than I've got, what's the point?
Agreed.
You know, what's the point of that?
By the way, why can't you design a better play?
And it's one of the biggest complaints I have about Quinn Snyder is that I just think, and this is why if you look at his coaching staff, I think it's so important that they kept them together. Because I think you Alex Jensen's a guy that you want designing your offense. He's a guy you want designing your defense, impacting your players. I like Quinn. I just don't like the X's and O's out of timeouts.
Yeah.
It's one of the, I don't like the timing of his timeouts. I don't like the execution out of his timeouts. It drives me crazy. That to me is his biggest weakness. From a 10,000 foot perspective, Quinn Snyder's a really good head coach, right? But you're not the Lakers. You haven't recently won a championship.
Yeah.
In my mind, Quinn Snyder and Brad Stevens are in very similar situations. You've got to win and show me that you can live up to the hype.
Except for the fact that the Jazz are doing way better than the Celtics.
Yeah, well, obviously.
And
yes,
I think too, the Brad Stevens comparison isn't a bad one, but I also think that I think that Quinn is probably 4 seasons behind Brad in terms of exposure. So, like, if what I mean is that the Celtics and Brad Stevens went through that whole thing with the Kyrie thing, and Kyrie was hurt, and Tatum had the LeBron dunk, and we went through all of that only to get let down in the postseason. Like, so they've been through all of that, and I feel like this season right here, this postseason run they're about to embark on, is that same postseason run for the Jazz.
Yeah, boy, and I think the Jazz Huddle makes a really good point. He says, you're right for sure. We haven't proved anything yet. Grabbing the first seed is the first step. Got to show up in the playoffs. That's
Agreed.
exactly right.
Agreed.
Jazz Huddle, exactly right.
Agreed.
Nailed it. You need, show me that you can win you better, because the Clippers and the Suns have impossible schedules. And you have a very the Jazz have a schedule they should win out. If we're being real honest, and I know this is probably way over the top, if you're the best team in the NBA, which a lot of people want to say you're the best team in the NBA, sliced bread, Katie's balls, like whatever you want to say about it. Probably too much. I apologize, Katie's balls. But if you're the best team in the West, win the West. If you're the best team in the NBA, win the West. Mm-hmm. If you're a more mature, developing team, win the West.
Are we clear on that?
I think that's an excellent point, Coach. We are clear on that. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys only talk Jazz? What happened to Suns talk?
We were just talking about the Suns. What are you talking about, bro?
Okay, Suns talk. Hey, thanks for choking away the last 2 games. They look tired. Go to bed, old man.
Seriously.
Like, they look tired.
Seriously.
And DeAndre Ayton's the reason that team's not winning.
I agree.
Will you
Can't
please,
keep getting posterized. You got to catch the ball.
Will you catch the ball, please?
You got to
DeAndre?
set better screens. Like, it's the details of the game.
Yeah. And Tyler says, I've come around a little bit. I used to hate you guys because you were always negative about the Jazz, but I can't hate for being right. Well, Tyler, I appreciate that.
Apologize to that man.
I mean, I'm telling you, I'm not hating. I'm just being right. By the way, yes, this is an Xbox S series. Pete wants to know why we have an Xbox on the table. Well,
let's go, Pete. Come on, buddy.
Welcome to the show. First of all, Pete, you're here. Please give us a thumbs up. That really helps the channel grow. When we get to 500 subscribers, we're giving this little beaut away right here. All you have to do is subscribe. And then on Twitter, find us on Twitter, which is The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. Jake is SLC Supercars, okay? So subscribe to YouTube, take a picture of that, and then tag us on Twitter with that picture. We're going to put you into the drawing, and when we get to our 500th subscriber, we are going to give away this Xbox. We are currently at 431 subscribers.
Let's go. Make it
69
432.
to go. Hey!
Make it 432. Let's go.
I'm a child.
I know.
So subscribe, Pete, and yes, we will give away the Xbox. As far as the Knicks versus Nets, who's better, Knicks versus Nets? I mean, I think I've got to obviously say the Nets.
Yeah.
I mean, the Knicks are a developing team that just is playing incredible basketball, and Julius Randle, frankly, is playing some of the best basketball in the NBA. Please don't say he's an MVP. Stop. Just stop yourself.
Yeah.
Because he's not.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at Knicks versus Nets, the Knicks are that cute story right now.
Yeah.
They have not cemented themselves as one of the best teams in the East. They're not on par, in my opinion. They're not on par with the Sixers or the Nets.
I agree.
I don't know what to make of the Bucks, and I'm sorry there was somebody on YouTube who asked about the Bucks. I don't know what to make of the Bucks because, yes, I think Holiday is a huge upgrade to Bledsoe, but I just think you're going to back off of Giannis and let him shoot threes.
Yeah.
Until he shows you he can make them.
It's the same issue the Jazz have, man, or the Suns. I mean, any of these teams that are not complete, which is to say, you know, Giannis is this great player who's won MVPs and he can run around in transition. Okay, well, I got news for you. In the postseason, we're not playing transition basketball.
No.
We're playing half-court basketball, and whoever executes at a higher level and shoots a higher percentage from three is going to win the game. So
Totally agree.
So Giannis is this amazing defensive player, but the problem is his only offensive game is to go to the hoop. So what you're going to hear about if you watch ESPN games, you're going to hear Van Gundy, you're going to hear Mark Jackson, all these guys are going to talk about the fact that the defense against Giannis, they're going to quote build a wall to block Giannis from accessing the paint. When that happens, the Bucks are not very good. So I don't really know. My point is, I don't really know what the answer is for the Bucks if you're playing the Nets or you're playing even the Knicks, because I think the Knicks would give them problems too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Are you guys talking NFL draft or not?
Well,
2 minutes. JC says going to trade the Xbox for a Sega. You remember Sega?
Yes.
Oh, man, I remember Sega. Was amazing. Illerk Gnurk says Phoenix is losing to elite teams. The Jazz are losing to the T-Wolves. Like, WTF. Exactly.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, I said, the Kansas City Chiefs added Orlando Brown over the weekend. Elite offensive lineman. Made me think of the Jazz. The best championship teams add guys to address their weakness. The others lose to the Timberwolves. And I know a lot of people freaked out on Twitter over the weekend when I said that.
it was such a great thing.
It's very true. It's very, very true. A couple more comments then. Yes, I do want to talk 49ers real quick. Miguel Boy says, let's say the team is the Jazz. Okay, good luck with that. Sakshay Jazz says, I think the Jazz are not careful. Clippers may take our first seed.
Hey.
The Clippers have an incredibly difficult schedule. It would take the Jazz losing 4 or 5 games.
A collapse.
Down the
let's
stretch.
Let's not beat around the bush. It
Totally
would
agree
be a
with that.
collapse.
Mina Gray says, Giannis always choking during the playoffs. Correct.
Yep.
Sakshay Jazz says, Minnesota knows our secret because of Tricky Rubio. No, they know your secret because everybody that has small guard or athletic guards, not small guards, athletic guards, and a quality big are going to beat the Jazz.
It's on tape now. It's not difficult.
Attack the basket.
Yeah.
Attack the basket.
Yeah.
All right. Make sure you attack the like button.
Whoa, you okay over there,
Knock
bud?
the table over and stuff. Attack the like button right now on our YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe. That's how you're going to win this Xbox S series that's sitting on the desk here. Please subscribe. We're trying to get to 500 because you can't get to 1,000 until you get to 500. You're welcome.
Math major.
Have a great day. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. When we do, we will give this Xbox away. Simply subscribe, take a picture of it, tag us on Twitter with that picture, The Monty Show, MONTY The Monty Show, and SLC Supercars.